You are sitting in a silent laboratory, wearing a cap of electrodes that look like a crown of thorns. The instructions are simple. Move your finger whenever you feel the urge. There is no clock, no pressure, and no external prompt. You believe this movement is the ultimate expression of your autonomy. You wait for the spark of intent, and then you act. But on the monitor across the room, a jagged line of electricity spikes before you even know you want to move. 40 years ago, a physiologist named Benjamin Libet discovered a ghost in the machine. He found a surge of brain activity called the readiness potential occurring half a second before a person consciously decides to move. It suggested that the brain was the master and the mind was merely a witness. We have spent decades reeling from this discovery. If your neurons fire before your will does, who is actually in charge of your life? We like to think of ourselves as the pilots of our own destiny. But the science suggests we might just be passengers in a vehicle that has already mapped the route. This is the story of how your choices are engineered, from the bacteria in your gut to the code in your pocket. Recent years have brought a new layer to the mystery of the readiness potential. Researchers like Aaron Scherger have proposed that this brain activity isn't a secret decision. Instead, it is something much more chaotic. Imagine your brain as a stormy ocean. The waves of neural activity are constantly rising and falling like background static. This is what scientists call neural noise. When we decide to act on a whim, we aren't creating a new signal. We're simply riding the crest of a wave that was already there. We piggyback on a random surge of electricity until it hits a threshold. It is as if your brain is a game of chance. You think you are choosing the moment, but you are just waiting for the dice to land on a high number. You are not the gambler. You are the result. This becomes even more unsettling when we look at modern imaging. In 2008, scientists at the Max Planck Institute used fMRI to peer deeper into the skull. They asked participants to press a button with either their left or right hand. They found they could predict which hand the person would choose up to 10 seconds before the person was aware of it. 10 seconds is an eternity in the world of thought. In those 10 seconds, your brain has already held a meeting, cast a vote, and sent the order to your muscles. Your conscious mind is the last person to be told. It is like being the CEO of a company where the employees make every deal behind your back. But the external world is just as busy trying to override your autonomy. We often talk about the power of the gut, but we usually mean intuition. The biological reality is far more literal and far more invasive. Your digestive tract is home to trillions of microorganisms. These bacteria do not just digest your food, they talk to your brain. They are the silent partners in every social interaction you have. A study from 2024 revealed that specific microbiome profiles change how we perceive fairness. In social bargaining games, people with certain gut bacteria were more likely to reject an unfair deal. Their sense of justice was literally dictated by the flora in their intestines. These bacteria influence the production of dopamine and serotonin. These are the chemicals of reward and happiness. When you feel a surge of indignation, it might not be your moral compass. It might be a chemical signal from a colony of microbes that wants more tyrosine. You are an ecosystem, not an individual. And that ecosystem has its own agenda. This internal manipulation is matched by the chemicals we produce ourselves. Take oxytocin, the so-called cuddle hormone. We're told it is the fuel of love and trust. But oxytocin has a dark side that we rarely discuss. It heightens our in-group bias, making us fiercely loyal to people who look like us. Simultaneously, it makes us more likely to dismiss or fear the outsider. Your empathy is not a universal light. It is a spotlight that can be narrowed by a single hormonal surge. You feel like you are choosing your allies based on merit. In reality, your biology is drawing a circle in the sand and telling you who belongs inside it. Then there is cortisol, the heavy hand of stress. When cortisol levels remain high, your brain undergoes a physical transformation. It shifts from flexible, goal-directed behavior to rigid, repetitive habits. Under pressure, you lose the ability to innovate. You become a creature of pure reflex, repeating the same mistakes over and over. You are not choosing to be stubborn. Your brain has simply put the controls on autopilot to save energy. You're trapped in a biological loop, waiting for the storm to pass. We often assume that our institutions are the safeguards of our logic. For years, we pointed to a famous study about hungry judges. The claim was that judges were more likely to grant parole right after they had eaten lunch. It was a perfect example of how the body rules the mind. But in 2016, the data was re-examined. The truth turned out to be much more systematic and far more depressing. The drop in parole rates wasn't caused by low blood sugar. It was caused by the way the court cases were scheduled. Lawyers often put the simplest, most hopeless cases at the end of a session. The judges weren't hangry. They were working through a list that had been designed for failure. This is the power of choice architecture. The way a choice is presented is often more important than the person making it. This is the foundation of nudge theory. If you want people to save money or donate organs, you don't change their minds. You change the default option. In countries where you have to opt out of organ donation, participation is nearly universal. In countries where you have to opt in, it is tragically low. We like to think we are weighing the pros and cons of life and death, but for most of us, we simply take whatever path requires the least amount of effort. The architect of the form is the one who chooses your fate. In the digital age, this architecture has become weaponized. Tech companies use what are known as dark patterns to keep you trapped. These are design tricks intended to subvert your free will. You have seen them before. The button to cancel a subscription is hidden in a labyrinth of menus, or a pop-up uses confirm shaming, making you click a button that says you prefer to pay full price. This is called sludge. It is the intentional addition of friction to make a choice you want to make nearly impossible. As of 2024, governments are finally beginning to ban these practices. But the digital cage goes deeper than a button. It lives in the algorithm. Your independent preferences are no longer truly independent. Every time you click a link, the machine narrows your world. It creates a feedback loop that reinforces your existing biases. You believe you are discovering new ideas. In reality, you are being fed a curated diet of your own past decisions. The algorithm doesn't want you to grow. It wants you to be predictable. Predictability is the currency of the modern world. If you are predictable, you can be sold. If you are predictable, you can be controlled. This leads to the spotlight effect. We move through the world under the crushing weight of social pressure. We overestimate how much other people are watching us. To avoid the perceived judgment of the crowd, we drift toward the middle. Choose the safe option, the popular opinion, and the standard path. We are terrified of the friction of being different. Our mirror neurons are constantly firing, trying to synchronize us with the group. We are ancient social animals running on a digital platform that amplifies our need to fit in. So where does this leave us? On one side, we have thinkers like Robert Sapolsky. He argues that free will is a total illusion. In his view, your actions today are the inevitable result of a chain of events. It started with your ancestors 10,000 years ago, was shaped by the breakfast you ate and the stress you felt an hour ago. There is no room in this clockwork universe for a soul that makes choices. You are a biological machine processing inputs. On the other side, there is the view of biological agency. Scientists like Kevin Mitchell argue that we aren't just victims of physics. Living organisms evolve specifically to break free from simple cause and effect. We are complex systems that can manage our own parts, might not be the masters of every impulse. We may not initiate every surge of neural noise, but we possess a different kind of power. Some call it free won't. This is the ability to veto an impulse before it becomes an action. Your brain may suggest 1,000 different things in a minute. You have the capacity to say no to 999 of them. The choice isn't in the spark. The choice is in the silence that follows. Understanding these forces is the only way to reclaim that power. When you feel a sudden surge of anger or a craving for a specific habit, look closer. Is that you, or is it your microbiome? Is it your conviction, or is it a nudge from a designer in a high-rise office? We are governed by architectures we did not build. We are driven by software that was written for a world that no longer exists. But the moment you see the game, the rules change. You are no longer just a piece on the board. You are a player who has finally looked up at the ceiling. The noise in your head will never stop. The chemicals will never stop flowing. Algorithms will continue to predict your every move. But you are the one who decides which wave to ride. You are the one who chooses which door to close. The architecture is there, but you're the one walking through it. You can see it now. The world is not a series of accidents. It is a set of defaults. What happens next is on you. You will be deciding it awake.